Start out today talking about how in life it's easy to get caught only being a witness. You know, they say, I know you've seen the pictures of the stands full of people and the few people on the court, and the ones on the court are the doers, the ones in the stands are the dreamers. So basically, what I'm saying is don't get caught only being a dreamer. And what does that mean to you, Vic? Don't get caught only being a dreamer.
Some people live in their dreams because we all have we all have visions, we all have aspirations. But to me, what it means to not get caught only being a dreamer is lack of action behind what it is that you desire to be or do in this life. And I think that a vast majority of people live in that conscientiousness of lack of action. I always say, pray to God, get on your knees and pray to God, then get on your feet and hustle. Because you can't expect to just ask God for certain things and then not put in the footwork and get whatever it is that you want out of life. Prayer is a two-way street. You have to meet God where you want to go. He's not going to do all of the work for you. That's not how God works. So when you say don't get caught just being a dreamer, that's what it embodies in my mind, is the fact that people just get caught in their own dreams and visions and aspirations, but never do anything about it.
1,000%. I agree. The lack of action, maybe lack of faith, lack of self belief. Maybe they're being polluted with the wrong information by the people around them, to where they're telling them, no, you can't do that, or you can't be that, you can't have that, you can't own that, you can't start that, don't quit your day job. You know what I mean? And I think it's important to realize that, because as soon as you separate yourself and start to believe in yourself, have faith in yourself, you're going to be able to see the world and live the world in a whole completely different light, in a whole completely different perspective. Because now you have confidence, you have faith, and you're not worried about validation from others. You're not waiting on others to tell you you're great. You're not waiting on others to tell you to go or when to jump. You just know that that has to be all internal. That has to come from internal faith and action and confidence, that type of stuff.
I do believe that's a barrier in people's life, is staying stagnant in a certain place because they're waiting for validation from other people to recognize them before they recognize themselves. I've said it 100 times and I'll keep repeating it to you guys. You can't wait for other people to tell you you're great before you recognize it yourself. If you don't believe that you're great, you can't expect anybody else to. That's really just as symbolic as it's going to be, because at the end of the day, whatever it is you want to be and or do has to come from within, from your spirit. It has to come from the divine knowing that, hey, this is what I'm pushed to do. And so you have to feel it within yourself, knowing that you're going to achieve whatever it is that you're going to achieve before you even go out and do it. If you don't truly believe you can do something, you never will do it. He who says he can and he who says he cannot are both correct. At the end of the day, if you don't believe you can do something, you've already lost the war before you even begun the battle. You need to be able to go out there and do what it is that you want to do and have the full faith that that is exactly what it is that I'm going to do. My cousin actually, he's my younger cousin. I think he's 20 now, 21, can't remember. But he recently hit me up yesterday and he let me know. I didn't talk to him in a while, but it was a quick conversation. And then he let me know, I was like, where are you working at? Told me he quit his job. I was like, okay, cool. What are you doing now? And then basically told me he wasn't doing nothing because he had just got laid off recently. And so something told me to just say, you're good, bro. You're full of life. You're young. I suggest that you figure out what it is that you want to do in life and just go fucking do it. And then he said, it's funny that you say that because he doesn't live in Reno, but he said, I'm in Reno right now. I'm getting car detailing stuff. It's something that I've been wanting to do. And then basically I just, put him on game and told him, if you're not willing to put in at least 3 years into this thing, don't even start it, bro. Because at the end of the day, if you're not truly committed to this car detailing thing that you want to do, whatever, it could be whatever for you guys. For him, it was the car detailing. I said, if you're not willing to put in at least 3 years, don't even start, because that road is not going to be an easy one. It's going to be difficult. But at the end of that road is where you're going to start to harvest all these seeds that you're currently planting. And if you leave too soon within the harvest, you can't just expect to get these results and everything's going to be easy. But yeah, he was committed. Long story short, talked him on game on what a LLC is and broke it down to him. Told him he doesn't even need it right now. Really, just start fucking making money, and then after you make money, worry about all that other shit. But yeah, long story short, that's what came to mind right now is the fact that you have to be committed to something for at least 3 to 5 years. Because if you're not willing to commit to something for at least 3 to 5 years, don't even begin, because it's not something that you truly want to do. Everything that you want in life is going to take time. You have to be able to plant the seeds, water it. It reminds me of like this bamboo plant. There's this certain bamboo species in Japan, I believe. You plant it and you water it and you take care of it every day. And I think it takes like for 5 years, you see nothing. Nothing comes out of the ground for 5 years. Yet you have to water it and you have to cater to it every single day. And then like on year 5, you start to see something. And then within the span of 2 weeks, this thing grows like so many feet tall, just out of nowhere. And so 5 years that it took, and you saw nothing, absolutely fucking nothing. And then out of nowhere, within like 2 weeks, you see everything that you've been working for.
That's life.
That is exactly life.
That's life. You can learn so much from nature. And I was going to say that too, because in the video, Ice Cube said 5 years.
Yeah.
If you're not willing to put at least 5 years, don't even start, But you can learn so much from just looking at nature. Like I'm looking outside, and if we just look at this tree, these trees are 200 to 500 years old, right? And what you see above ground is almost nothing compared to the roots and what you see underground. There's a tree across the street that is fucking up the whole road with its roots. You know what I mean? So you don't see the work underground.
Yeah.
And one day I contract for nuclear power plants, and above ground you see like a square building and a containment to house the reaction. And if you just look at that, you say, that doesn't look like much goes into that process. But as soon as you go into a turbine building or a containment and you see that it's 8 floors or 9 floors deep into the ground with valves and all these different equipment that go into this process, once you see how much it actually takes underground, most people don't see the work it actually takes to do something. They just see the process. Most people aren't going to know how power is coming to their house. They're just going to come into their house, switch the light on, and they know that the light comes on.
Facts.
You know what I mean? So it's going to be the same with whatever you're doing. Only you and God is going to know how much work, how much blood, sweat, and tears you really put in. So when those doors get slammed, you kind of got to laugh. You got to laugh at those doors like, you don't know how much I put in. I'm going to find another one.
Yeah.
I'm going to find a door that's meant for me. You know what I mean?
That's a fact.
And I love using Kanye as an example, because even in his documentary, he went to the record labels, was playing his songs, and they closed the door. They say, nah, we not feeling this. We not hearing this, because either he was ahead of his time or they just didn't see his greatness. But guess who did see his greatness?
He did.
He did. And
he knew he was great before anybody
did. And that
did.
ties all the way back to what we said at the beginning. You got to have that own confidence, own belief, you got to believe in yourself. You know what I mean? Because they're not going to see the work. They're not going to see the process. And it is going to take a lot more than maybe you think it is. Like sometimes in these miraculous situations, somebody blows up out of nowhere or something goes crazy off the rip. Your first startup goes crazy, and that's great. I wish that happens for everybody. But the reality is sometimes you got to build, and you got to build more than you think. You know what I mean?
The most valuable part always comes from within. And I'm going to give a lot of you young men some real game right here. We all, if you have any type of knowledge, any knowledge at all, most of us understand that everything that's great comes from within. Everything that's worthwhile comes from within. All the real good stuff comes from within. And we seem to know this with everything else. But yet we seem to forget when it comes to women, especially. So you literally will, if I see a building and it's so beautiful outside and the veneer of the building is gorgeous, I don't care how gorgeous that building is because it can be gutted inside. It could be
Mm.
fucking terrible. I don't care how beautiful the candy paint is and the rims on a car. If that engine and that transmission are fucked, that car is
Yeah.
invaluable.
Yeah.
And we know that anywhere. But yet, when it comes to women, most men, especially in our age demographic, like to prioritize the outside, the vanity of a woman. Even though inside, she could be ugly as hell inside. And yet, just because you want to go out and be seen with the baddest bitch, even though she's a fucking headache, you just want everybody else's approval but your own. Y'all need to stop living like that, bro. Y'all need to start looking at what's on the inside. I'm not saying go and get the ugliest bitch on the block and then just, be satisfied with that. What I am saying though is that you need to get chose with your mouth closed. A lot of you are out there doing the choosing, and at the end of the day, you're missing the woman that is for you, because the woman that will choose you 100 times over the woman that you want to choose that everybody else wants. And so I feel like I just want to say that to all the young men out there who are so stuck in the stigma of, chasing vanity rather than chasing real self-worth, somebody who truly wants you, who truly appreciates you. Because that's one thing that holds a lot of young men back who have a vision. They lack the partner to support that vision. And if you partner right next to you does not want what it is that you want out of life, it's going to make it that much harder or damn near impossible for you to get there. So, to all of you who have a partner out there, make sure it's the correct one, bro, because that will save you years. I promise. It will save you years. But continue. I just felt that's what it reminded me of from the inside.
Nah, man, and it's applicable in so much in life. What was that one video we watched? They say the dude was like, in physics, it says if one thing
If one
applies,
thing, yeah. So there's a law in physics. I don't remember which law it is. I'd have to go back and look at it. But essentially, this law in physics states that anything that applies in one arena must apply to everything else in life. And that's so true. Everything that applies to one arena must apply to everything else in life. So if something applies in a relationship, it must also apply in everything else in life. And ever since I watched that video with Isaiah and we broke it down, I've come to realize that it's 1,000% true.
and it's really overlooked in life and in relationships and passions and dreams. It literally is applicable towards everything. Let's talk about something as simple as mastering the basics. This right here is what separates the average Joes from the greats, from the legends, from the Hall of Famers. You get what I'm saying? Because these people don't get tired of mastering the basics. Like, whether you're boxing, whether you're playing basketball, whether you're a painter, whether you're a sculptor, whether you're any type of anything. You could be sitting at a desk for 12 hours. If you're a better typer, you're going to get more work done. And that's the basics of sitting at a desk. You know what I mean? You could be talking on the phone for 12 hours. If you're if you're mastering the basics in communication, you're going to be more communicative. You're going to be more productive than somebody who is just on the phone and has never sat down and thought about, how can I become a better communicator?
That's a fact.
You know what I mean? So in any arena in life, mastering the basics and that's how you know you love something, is when you don't get tired of doing the basics, because and you see the results. Like, it's almost like on a piano, one of my instructors always says, go slower, because I used to think I was doing something because I'm at 220 BPM doing scales, all the scales, major, minor, going through at 220 BPM. And he's like, all right, do it at 80 BPM, do it at 50, do it at 60. And at first it sounds, I'm like, yeah, I do this shit at 220. Let me do it at, and I'm making more mistakes at 50, 60 beats per minute than I am at 200.
That's crazy.
You know what I mean? And then once you slow down, you realize more about your technique. You realize more about yourself. And then you go slow to go fast. because the slower you go, the faster you'll be able to go. In nuclear, they always say fast is slow, slow is fast.
Why do
And
they say that?
they say that because you're not allowed to make a mistake.
Okay.
So you need to go slow in order to make no mistakes.
Well, yeah, because one mistake will fuck the whole shit.
If you're rushing through, as humans, we make mistakes.
Yeah.
We're natural. We make mistakes. It's natural. You know, that's why you have to have somebody over your shoulder, double, triple verifying what you're doing, because you're not allowed to make a mistake. But what they mean is do it right the first time. Because if we have to go back and open this up when the plant's online and come back down, that plant is going to lose $1 billion, and we can't afford that.
And that applies to everything in life. Do it right the first time. You know, like if, say, you got, I don't know, your car breaks down and the part you need for your car, you go and there's a cheaper one, you know, it's probably 50% cheaper, but it's made with cheaper material. Or you have the 50% one that's more expensive, but it's guaranteed, it's better material, and it's warranted out. And you go with the cheaper one, and then that one breaks, you know, again in like 6 months or whatever. You're like, fuck, I should have just paid the 50% extra, because now I got to go do this shit again, and I'm gonna pay the premium that I was gonna pay the first time anyway. So I should have just done it right the first time. So I think that's applicable to anything in life, is just doing it right the first time. If you can save yourself years, if you can save yourself months, whatever it is, by doing it right the first time, that's the way to go. Because the number one asset you have, that we all have in our life, is time, is our time. And so if you do it right the first time, not only are you saving yourself a headache from whatever it is, you're also saving yourself time from having to do that shit again.
Yeah, so you know, and obviously, as you do things and get more competent, you'll gain more speed. But that's the point, you know, especially when you're first learning. Everybody wants everything to be so fast. Microwave, warm that shit up. Don't put it, like, if you have pizza to warm up, would you rather wait the 5-10 minutes to put it in the oven, or would you rather wait a minute and a half to put it in the microwave? You know what I mean? And everybody wants everything so quick, so quick. We live in a world where everything's getting quicker. We're trying to make technology and every invention, everything is to make things more accessible, more quicker for people. But the reality is, as humans, we're making things quicker, but the laws of nature are not changing because technology is making things quicker. So yeah, AI might be able to develop you that program in 30 seconds, but that business is not going to take 30 seconds to start.
Yeah, and
to handle,
for
you know
sure.
what I mean?
Definitely. And quicker is usually not better. Yo, a quick segue when you talked about microwave. So I'm huge into counting my macros because I'm on like this bodybuilding journey. And I was thinking the other day, I was like, man, I wish I had something that could just track my macros for me. And like me having to do no work. And I was like, man, how crazy would it be if I invented a macrowave where I just put my food in there and it counts all my fucking macros? So, segue into that. If anybody out there has the technology to help me create a fucking macrowave, let me know, because I'm interested.
How would that work?
Basically, I imagine it just being a some sort of technology where you put your plate of food.
I bet you they already have it.
I look, there's nothing. You have to track it yourself.
So there's nothing where you can take a picture of the food and it counts the macros?
Not that I know.
I mean, that sounds like $1 billion invention.
Yeah. I might have just gave somebody fucking game right now. You feel me? But anyways, I just wanted to segue into that. If there's anybody out there watching that wants to follow this vision, let me know, because I want to create something that tracks fucking macros by simply either taking a picture of it or putting it in some kind of something that just basically snaps the shot and tells you how many macros are in there.
What is a macro?
Macro is basically your protein, your fats, your carbohydrates. And
so is it like a calculation of everything combined?
Yep, your macros is a calculation of everything that you're eating every single day, cut down into proportion.
Oh, okay.
From the sugars to the salt to the fat to the saturated fat, everything. But the three main focus points should always be carbohydrates, protein, and fat. Okay. Because a lot of people would be so much more fucking in shape if they just tracked their macros. But most people don't, even in the fitness community, because it's tedious.
Yeah.
It's tedious. Every fucking plate that you fucking make, you have to literally sit there, and while you're making it or before you're making it, you have to figure out how many calories is in here, how much fat is in here, how much of this portion am I eating, and then you have to do this math, and then after you do the math, then you have your macro. So it's just,
Yeah, people don't like to
they
do
don't like
that.
doing that shit. You have to be
That's
disciplined to do
that's
that
like
shit.
one of my partners is on a whole nother level in sports and trying to get to the highest level. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So, and
What does he do?
I was just trying to give him game football.
Football.
I was
Okay.
just trying to give him game of how I felt. He can go to that next level, like keeping track of the workouts, the schedule. Having a set schedule and making sure he's working out a certain amount of times a day. And I showed him that schedule I had at that time
Yeah.
and what I was doing, and he's like, "Man, I feel you. I just don't want to do that." and I get it. Not everybody wants to
Nope.
live their life like that
Nope.
because it is a different way to live life. It's not only tedious, but it's once you get into the routine of something like that, it's really beneficial though, and it can help a lot. But yeah, a lot of people don't want to do that, and that's fine. Live your life how you want to live. Don't let nobody tell you what you can or can't do or what you should or shouldn't do if it doesn't resonate with you. But at the end of the day, if you want to get to that next level, there's ways, and sometimes you have to do stuff you don't want to do. But in doing that stuff you don't want to do, you later realize that it's the shit you needed to do.
Yeah, 100%.
For real.
Yeah, literally. It's the shit that you didn't want to do that you needed to do. And at the end of the day, that's where the results lie.
And then
90% of the time.
That thought is what's holding you in that same spot and that same level. Oh, I don't want to do that. That's too much. That's that thought right there. Anytime you think that is the problem, that thought is the problem. And then that is what's keeping you comfortable in your comfort zone and holding you at that level that you're at. So say we can compare it to a video game because it's just the analogy is just so easy to understand. If it's telling you to journey 6 miles and go defeat this dragon, you're like, I don't want to do that. You're not going to get to the next level if you don't want to do that.
Simple.
Like, yeah, okay, you may not want to do it, but sometimes you got to do things you don't want to do. What if David said, looked at Goliath and said, I don't want to do that?
Yeah. Yeah, I don't want to do that. That's it. I'm cool off of that.
There would be no story. There would be no history. There would be no, you know what I mean? And it goes for any arena, any sport, any profession, any business, any entrepreneur, anything. Everything you want is on the other side of what you're unwilling to do,
For sure. This is another random segue that kind of ties into it. It's a fact that Christian men are more overweight than men who don't follow faith. And what I attribute that to is that we find comfort in faith, but we don't seek discipline in it. And so at the end of the day, you think that gluttony is the sin, so the act of actually doing what you're doing, but there's people out there that are arguing, is being fat a sin? And I never thought about that till like recently it came into my demographic of, realization. Whereas like, is being fat a sin? That's crazy, and there's like a whole, I started reading Reddit posts on it, and these Reddit boys, oh my God, they make me laugh. Reddit is
a different animal.
Yeah. The Reddit community is something else, man. I'm just like, a lot of it I'm laughing because it's cringe. Some of it, there's good points. But what I've realized about Reddit is that it's just like a free for all to bitch and moan about everything you want, about why life sucks and why you're good the way you are. And it was a simple man asking a question of, is being fat a sin? And then he even said,
that's so controversial though.
Yeah, it is so controversial, but I like going into controversial shit. So I was fucking going in there. And I don't have an opinion on it. I mean, I have my opinion on it, but I don't have like oh yeah, it is, or no, it's not. I'm nobody to judge you at the end of the day. I don't know if it is or it's not, but the topic does intrigue me, I believe at the end of the day, what I realize is that like gluttony for sure is a sin.
What is gluttony?
Excessive eating, like you just you just excessively.
And I think especially as Americans, we overeat.
Oh yeah, we overindulge in everything, not just food, but especially food.
Yeah, we overindulge because even even if you really think about it, what we need to survive and what we need to thrive, unless you're on this bodybuilder working out 4 times a day,
Yeah,
you really technically don't even need 3 large meals and snacks in between.
you don't.
Like that's already a lot of food, and that's what we're programmed to think: breakfast, lunch, dinner, snacks in between, whatever else, you know what I mean, maybe dessert at the end of dinner, whatever it may be. But if you go through history and you research people who survived much longer than other people,
People who ate
these
less.
these people were eating 1 day and fasting 3 days.
Yeah. And not only that, like one of the things that I thought was super funny in the Reddit section was they were talking about how, yeah, and they were being encouraging. They said, don't, the guy was asking if he should fast and stuff like that. And he's like, oh, don't fast. This is the temple that God gave you, and it's sacred, and you should just not deprive it from food. And I was laughing at that because I said, didn't Jesus fast for like over 30 days? And you're sitting here telling this man not to do that?
Hey man, it's a dangerous place.
Yeah.
The world is a dangerous place of opinions,
Yeah,
because you got to be careful where you're getting your information
for
and
sure.
what you're believing. Especially that's why on this channel we try to operate in a category that's called absolute truth.
Mm-hmm.
That is called where no matter what the language, no matter what the creed, it should resonate with everybody. And if it doesn't, that's great. Sometimes it may be opinions. We're not always speaking in
And we do
fact.
tell you when it is an opinion. We always say this is just my opinion. Do your own research.
Dude, and that's
Yeah,
that's important that you do your own
for
research,
sure.
because what works for us may not work for you.
Mm-mm.
You know what I mean? Counting your macros might not work for you,
No.
or meditation or whatever we recommend, or reading books or self-development. You may just be here to just be who you are for 50 years.
Everything's not gonna work for everybody. You got to
Oh,
figure out
absolutely.
what works for you. One thing that I've realized what works for me is just the routine that I'm in, because I'm a lot of like an observer in my personal life. And the days that I have like better days where I'm like, dang, today was an excellent day, I really try to dissect why it was an excellent day. What did I do different? And then that really helps me in my life. Like one thing that I've noticed is that on days when I don't, this rarely happens. Like today, I slept in. I was supposed to be up at 6, but I went out with the fam. We had a good family day. Took the dogs out and stuff, and I slept in. I woke up like at 7:30, and I was trying to wake up at 6, but I was like, I'm gonna sleep in. But on the days that I notice that when I'm on routine where I wake up earlier, where I exercise, where I read, and then I start my day is just like so much more. I don't know if euphoric is the right word, but it just feels right. It just feels right than when I don't. And so I think part of it is that like when you skip routine from doing what you know you should be doing, it really affects you. Because even though I woke up late today, I could have just been like, "Hey, man, let's just do it another day." But I was like, "Nah, bro, I got to go out and do that." And so I still do it. And I think that this conversation really makes me feel good. Being here makes me feel good, for
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah, it's a good thing. And one thing I noticed with my routine, because there was a time I was going crazy off like 4 or 5 hours of sleep, pushing myself to burnouts, you know what I
Right.
mean? And what I noticed in those burnouts was, because my routine used to be wake up, meditate, um, read, and then like come in here and practice piano or something.
Yeah, I remember.
But what I notice now is when I just wake up and go straight to the gym and get the workout in first,
Yeah.
I come back with more energy, more energetic. My
Yeah.
brain is wired. The gears are turning, it's spinning. And now when I read, I'm more focused, I'm more locked in. I'm not falling asleep while I'm reading, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I got that energy from the gym.
And that's exactly
So,
what I mean. Making that little tweak and then
yeah,
being conscientious enough to like, yo, this works better for me.
yeah, just little tweaks, trying different stuff. Because like I said, what works for us might not
It'll
work for you. Try, develop your own routine, your own
Yep.
schedule based on how you feel and what resonates with you and what you love to do, what you like to do.
Yeah.
Because it's a lot of people that may tell you, oh, you need to do this, you need to do that. that will never be this channel. If we will
No.
suggest things, and if it works for you, it works for you, great. But if it doesn't,
Then do
it
your own
doesn't.
thing.
Maybe the next thing we say 30 seconds later will resonate.
And a lot of social media is catered to just perfectionism. And that is such a fucking lie. Like, I see these videos of like this fucking guy giving his routine on, he wakes up at like fucking, 5 a.m. and then goes to the gym and takes an ice bath right after that, and then counts his macros immediately, and then after that he goes and he fucking just makes $1 billion. A lot of that shit is just perfectionism. A lot of that shit is just for content, because I can guarantee you that most of those people don't live like that every single day. It's very difficult to live a certain pattern every single day, and that's why it's hard. I can tell you from experience, because I do my best to live a very disciplined life, and I'm talking about waking up at 5 a.m., doing my prayer, getting on my knees, and after my prayer, going straight into my living room, doing 100 push-ups. After the 100 push-ups, going into my read for 10 or 15 minutes, and then after that, hit the dumbbells, and then after the dumbbells, then but there's days where I miss. There's days where, like today, it's rare.
And I'm gonna cut you off right there. The reason why it's so difficult is because life.
Yeah.
Things happen. You may be in the middle of your routine or in the middle of your day, and a friend calls you, "Hey, I'm moving today. I need some help." Hey, your sister calls you, "My car broke down.
Yep.
I can call somebody else, but are you free? Can you come get me?"
Yep.
And you have the option to say no to these people, but when it's people you love, you want to be there. You know what I mean? So you may be in the middle of your routine and you get that call, like boom, and then boom. Next thing you know, life is pulling you in other directions.
Yeah.
And sometimes I do believe those are tests. How selfish are you?
It truly is. Not only how selfish are you, but I think that it could also work in the other direction, where if it's a test that you should have passed, like, you're going to have distractions. There's a difference between going and helping a loved one and it's the right thing to do. It's like, stop being selfish, go and help, go and give some of your time. But there's also a difference between, hey, you want to go and fuck off for the next 30 minutes and
some type of temptation.
Yeah, So you got to understand the difference in that. But I feel like for me, as long as I get it done, like, say that on the very rare occasion that I miss my workout in the morning, I know I have to work out in the afternoon. It's not an option. I have to. So you make time for what you want to make time for, because a lot of the excuses that I hear in life is, I don't have time. Bro, we all have 24 hours. Don't tell me you don't have time, because if I were to sit there and analyze your life for the 24 hours, I would literally be like, why the fuck have you been on your phone for 5.5 hours?
Per day.
Yeah. Why?
Not per week.
Yeah, per
not
day.
Every 3 days.
Yeah.
Per day.
Yeah. So you telling me you don't have time, yet you've been scrolling through your phone. And Facebook, I'm not talking about Instagram, just sitting Twitter, there for 5.5 hours. I'm talking about like 10 minutes here.
Boom.
5 minutes here.
Boom.
And it's just like, you don't even know how much time you're wasting just literally on bullshit.
It adds up. We all got the same 24. And if you're at a point where you're at a great level and you're like, I just don't know how I can get to the next level, set a timer on your phone for every 5 to 30 minutes and write down what you're doing.
For sure.
And you'll start to realize a lot. You start to realize, okay, what am I really doing with this time? Because, the only thing that separates doers from dreamers, or achievers from non-achievers, or Hall of Famers from non-Hall of Famers, it can be talent, yeah, of course, but it's just what you're doing with your time. How you choose to wait. What I kind of
we talked about last week.
Explained last week. How you choose to wait. What are you ignoring? That it's not the big things. I was talking to somebody about this yesterday. It's not the big things that separate the good people from the greats. It's the attention to detail and the little tiny things that matter. Like Kobe used to study where the refs were on the court.
No way. I didn't know that. He used to study where the refs were? That's wild. That's like a different level.
Bro, a lot of people, and this goes back into our analogy earlier, a lot of people aren't going to see what you put in.
Yeah.
This man used to study the angle the ref the ref's perspective and their angle on the court so he can know what he can and can't do and when to draw the foul or when to not draw a foul or when he could, kind of lean on his defender a little more because the ref wasn't going to see it. Bruh, there's levels. You know
That's
what I mean?
crazy.
There's levels to everything.
I was listening to somebody talk about Kobe and LeBron the other day, and they were talking about how he believed LeBron was a better player than Kobe. And the reason he believed that is because LeBron came in from high school dominating, whereas Kobe came in as like assistant and not so great, not as good, And that only made me realize that like that made Kobe greater in my opinion. Like you're trying to discredit him from being greater than LeBron, but you just encouraged my opinion on Kobe being greater than LeBron because that just shows that he started and had his inadequacies and he didn't let that hold him back. He said, I might be here, but at the end of the day, I know where I'm going.
Bruh.
And that to me is much greater. I don't give a fuck about all the stats and all that, but the fact that he came in being a lesser of a player statistically than LeBron and then grew up and surpassed him in many different ways. I mean, to me, you just proved my point.
And this is exactly what we're referring to. Kobe's the perfect example for everything. I heard a video of him saying, my hands weren't that big.
Yeah.
So I did things to increase my grip strength. My vertical wasn't that large. I wasn't the fastest. So what footwork, what angles, what strengthening, what conditioning can I do to surpass those people who have the bigger hands, who are faster, who are quicker, who have the higher vertical, and Kobe in high school, I'm talking AAU, this man made a list of the top 50 players, watched film on all of them, hunted them all down and crossed them all off the list.
Yep, I remember.
Bro, if you did that in any profession, whether you owned a business, whether you were a basketball player, a football player, a boxer, a video gamer, a streamer, if you took the top 50 streamers, if you took the top 50 companies in your business, if you took the top 50 players
and hunted them down
and watched film on them and studied them and seen how you can develop more than them and seen what they do, what worked, what didn't, and oh my goodness.
That's the power of direction and intent and focus.
Come on, man.
Power of intent, focus, and
we're
direction.
talking about anywhere from 14 to 17 years old, this man did this.
Yeah. That just shows where his mind was at from the beginning.
Man, that's my goal. I don't care what nobody say. I love Jordan and I love Kobe, but they're neck and neck for me. I love Kobe, bro. You just hear these stories and you don't hear stories that are anything like them. You hear the stories all the time of they're on the Olympic team. It's time to celebrate. It's time to celebrate. It's time to party. It's time to kick it. You got Melo and all these guys. Oh, Kobe, we're going to the club. You trying to come? He's like, nah, I'm not going to the club. They get back from the club at 3, 4 a.m. Kobe's in the lobby dressed up, headed to the gym.
Yeah, one of my favorite videos that I seen Kobe is after the game when they're interviewing him. They're like, hey, Kobe, what does it feel like to have won? And, I forget what the question was exactly, but then Kobe's with the serious ass face.
They were up like 3-0 or something, or 3-1.
Yeah,
he said,
we're not finished.
Job's not
done.
I'm not happy.
I'm not happy.
Why would I be happy? They could come back and we could lose this series.
Exactly.
The job's not finished.
So until the job is finished, don't fucking celebrate, man.
That man's different.
It's different for sure. For sure. Different. But yeah, guys, I mean, there's so much that you guys could be doing to improve yourselves each and every single day. And it's all within the details that we're talking about. It doesn't have to be something major.
Learn from greatness.
Learn from greatness. Apply it to your life. And then, the little details in your life. A lot of the difference in your life usually comes from the little details. It's not this like, oh my God, I just had this, Einstein level idea. It's usually never that. It's usually, hey, maybe I should get up an hour earlier. Mm-hmm. Hey, maybe I should stop drinking every fucking day or every other day. Hey, maybe I should go to the gym more frequently. Hey, maybe I should actually start to pick up a book and read for 10 minutes a day. It's nothing crazy, but the accumulation of doing the basics is literally what's going to make the whole difference in your life.
Little things, and that's what that book Atomic Habits is all about. Just stacking little things, and next thing you know, boom, you're out of there.
For sure.
You're out of there.
Well, we had quite a plethora of things to talk about today, guys. So thank you guys for joining us. Thank you guys for allowing us to share this moment with you guys.
One thing
One thing.
for me, it's gonna be and I've seen this happen in my own life. I got this from one of my mentors, and shout out him. He'll know who he is if he hears this. But he told me the analogy of, this is what starts to happen when you develop yourself, when you start to really lock in and develop yourself, to personal development, to growth, to developing your skills, to developing your mind, developing your spirit, developing your emotions. You know, imagine you're studying, you're developing your skills, your head is down, and you're just running. You're just running. And all your partners are at the club. Oh, come to the club, come kick it. You like, nah, I'm just locked in. You know what I mean? You're just running. They're at the club, they're kicking it, they chilling with female, whatever they doing. They do what they do. They're at the bar, kicking it, every Friday, Saturday, they're kicking it. In 6 months to a year time, those same friends are gonna look up and say, how did you get over there? How did you get over there? And they're not even going to be able to comprehend or understand the growth and separation of what just happened, because they're not going to understand how you got over there. And that's what happens when you really lock in.
For sure. I think that my one thing is going to be just basically don't be so focused on the bigger picture that you forget the things that actually matter. Because sometimes we're so focused and so locked in. So it's a little on the opposite of what you just said, but sometimes we're so focused and so locked in on something that we forget to pay attention to the little things in our life. So have an even balance of both. Be locked in, but at the same time, don't forget to pay attention to the little things in life. And I think that that's it. Let's have a blessed today's Sunday.
Let's go, man. Come on.
Let's have a blessed Sunday, guys. Let's get it. Like, comment, subscribe, share, and yeah, let's continue to be great together, guys. The Inspire and Rewire Podcast loves you, and let's continue to grow as a community.